Hello, welcome back to the Rush. Actually, these videos, these online videos, briefs are not really required. But yep, I've got my briefs on, so I'm good to go. All right. Got actually a really exciting episode. Oh, got to make sure that darn screen is fine. Did you? I think actually Chris is really good at cropping the image, so you didn't see that. But I noticed on the little video ninja, I got to make sure that you don't see any little side pieces of the screen. Anyway, okay, got a really exciting episode for you guys here today. Longtime site member, actually probably one of our original students. I think he's been with us, geez, good 5 or 6 years, if not longer. And an absolute gem of a person. I swear. The one good part about TRI is for some reason, and I really needed it after my wife passed. I got sent by a friend. I got sent to Top Step. And I think on balance, the people at Top Step are really good people. And they took good care of me and sort of my really tough times after my wife passed. Then I came to TRI with this whole try and make a positive difference in this world and try and be a good person and all that kind of fun stuff. Really help you people. And the good Lord brought just some absolutely incredible people into my life. And our guest today. Sorry, dude. Certainly didn't expect this to happen, but I just love this guy. He's just so fucking awesome. Anyway, we've got Stephen on the call for our after party show today. Our resident harmonican. Is that what we call you? I'm not quite sure. But Stephen, you want to say hello to the good people?
Hey guys, happy to be here with y'all.
All right, and he's even representing. I like your t-shirt. I think that's a TRI t-shirt, eh? Yeah, fucking hey, awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got my swag on, by the way. Look at that. This is such a really cool hoodie. This was we actually spent a couple extra dollars. It's not just some sort of cheap Chinese crap. This was actually embroidered right on the fabric. But anyway, so super excited to be back in the saddle. And like I said, in the after party today, we have one of my favorite human beings on the planet with us here today. So I'm super excited to have a great conversation with him today. And this guy is a harmonic whiz. It's so cool watching him do his TA. And this is a great part about technical analysis. And really, just market participation is there's no sort of one right or wrong way to do this. The right or wrong way to do this is what really speaks to you as an individual. I do see a lot of people say, try my squiggly line method and you'll quit your job in a week and you'll never do another trading program. I don't actually think that that's healthy to set people up that way. What I would say, and this is what I often tell people, is my job actually is just because I've been at this stupid game forever and I've literally seen everything under the sun. I know that there's no one approach that works 100% of the time. So let's just, for the record, make that clear. You're never going to find an approach that's 100% bulletproof. It just doesn't exist. So what you have to do is you have to figure out, okay, what sort of speaks to me as an individual? What works for me? And can I come to the market on a daily basis with my trading plan and my sort of plan for running my small business, and can I execute without reservation? And because I have confidence in the tools that I work with. So Stephen has a very, well, I'm not going to say very, it's a very individual, I did say very, it is an individualized plan that he has built. It's beautiful to watch him in action, and it gives a very unique look at the market. And oh yes, by the way, it is a topic in our education program that we cover in our advanced education program. And he is the quarterback of sort of a room that we have at TRI that specifically speaks to those who like to trade harmonically. So super excited for that. So there you go. That was a 4 or 5 minute intro there for you. But I can't speak highly enough about Stephen, and hopefully maybe I've teased you into wanting to come in and participate in the after party show today. Also too, that was a bit of a tease. If you do come in and listen to Stephen and you're like, wow, this is such a cool, unique perspective, and this totally speaks to me as an individual. We have a community at TRI of harmonic traders that you can become a part of if you decide to participate in our education program. Okay, with that said, took a yesterday off, and it was probably a much needed little break there. Got lots of sleep. Of course, it's a pretty stressful time. I think we just went through a solar eclipse. We have tax deadlines in the States and tax deadlines here in my country. So there's lots of stress all around that. And unfortunately, we're now in a world like 5-10 years ago. It was sort of like, well, tax deadline. All right, no big deal. Big Brother's not really that much of a dick these days. And, we'll just figure it out and stuff. But, especially with the way that skeleton guy is in charge down in the States. And, my socialist, AKA communist leader in my country, the son of a bitch, we're going through hyperinflation. I tell you, go to the grocery store and the price of bread is like literally rising 10% on the day. And the goddamn commie socialist motherfucker, he goes and raises taxes. I mean, what the hell, of all the times to raise taxes on people? That's like just adding insult to injury. It's just ridiculous. And now the bastard has come out and said, we're not going to honor our obligations to things like defense alliances because we're too busy spending money on fluffy garbage new government programs that really all it is just political patronage and creating new departments with new bureaucrats and new lifers, bigger government and all that. So I mean, I sure hope the average Canadian is just sitting there going, enough is enough with this goddamn communist. And, to add insult to injury now, they're publicly saying that they're not even going to support things like NATO commitments and budgets and stuff. When I was reading that this morning, I was just like, oh, it's just one thing after another with this goddamn commie. Anyway. That's your rant for you. You obviously know which side of the political spectrum Brian leans on. And in my country, unfortunately, the backdrop right at the moment is and the worst part about it is the government doesn't even have a mandate. So somebody there, DMAC over on YouTube goes, all right, a nice big rampage from BB. So there you go to start you off. Wakey, eggs and frickin' commie bakey. I don't know. As for the market, unfortunately, if anything, if I was really good at social media and stuff, what I would do is I'd put in a clip of Alan's fucking rocket blowing up in the middle of the air yesterday as probably a commentary on the market right now and things like Bitcoin and stuff. So be careful there, folks. This could be a bit of a challenge for the next couple months here in the market. The breadth indicator data in itself, that image alone should be like, oh boy, this is going to be tough. We've got teal now. Teal is now officially overbought. So this is a bit of a dangerous situation. The only problem is I can't really short here because it's kind of a crappy trade location. But I even put out tweets just a few days ago, I had sort of said, and I did this as kind of like, I like to do this as, rising wedges are inherently fill in the blank. And really what I wanted to hear from you guys, like feedback was, and just Google this, you can find from about 20 different websites, rising wedges are inherently bearish. That's a bearish chart pattern. And then I even said, especially when they happen in red boxes, this is a reload short zone. So put it all together, and then to add insult to injury, that was the S&P 500. You go and look at something like the Dow, and I find this fascinating, right? That this is clearly a very well-defined M top, and it came in right on that solar eclipse event. And we have one gentleman, Cole, on the site. Hopefully, you've had the privilege to come in on the after parties and listen to Cole's presentation as our celestial guru on the site right now. And of course, he actually calls this like eclipse season. Oh God, that can't be good. So the backdrop, it's not the friendliest market state for risk takers in the marketplace. And unfortunately, I think I think that's also spilled over a little bit for Bitcoin. And if anything, I try. We had our most recent attempt at getting the Coinigy shows up and running. If anything, the gentleman from Coinigy is relatively new to the whole sort of video broadcasting experience. He's trying really, really hard. He's got all his sort of local internet equipment now all set up correctly. And a little bit of a flub on Brian's microphone there, but he's trying his best. I think Joe's got a good spirit and his heart is in the right place. So we'll get that going. And I think on balance, the shows are actually incredibly valuable. And I am spitting out a lot of really good, valuable information. It's just, just as we're sort of get our legs, that was this broadcast. Yeah, a couple little snafus and, got a little problem with the mic. But interesting, one of the outcomes of this, and this was the whole point of why I like doing these shows, is we took a good look at a name like ADA. And frankly speaking, I actually really like the idea of going in and investing my hard-earned money in a name like this down at the bottom end of his range. But when I zoom in on lower time frame and actually talking specifically about where I'd be willing to spend my money, unfortunately, I can't spend my money up here. I have to spend my money if I'm going to down here. I think does my mouse show on the video? Yeah. So I don't really think that the market is technically a short. I just think that, we had a pretty normal, you can see this is the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. That's a pretty healthy seasonal rally. If we look at things like the stock market, Bitcoin, whatever, altcoins, the asset prices have moved up appreciably. And of course, I just have a simple rule. I'm not allowed to chase. Don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. So if I am going to buy, well, I got to draw my reload zones and try and identify confluence of levels. And I'm a really big fan of candle body lows for trade location. Actually, we had a really good example of that in the day trader room this morning. I was actually quite pleased to see. Through the week, I had meetings here, meetings there, distractions here, distractions there. So I really wasn't able to concentrate too much on day trading through the week, but I popped into the day trader room this morning and actually was very busy in there this morning. So good to see a lot of people are trying to take advantage of that resource at TRI. And I suppose if we can get to it, I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. The only problem is we only have like 30 minutes to do this, and I'm already halfway through the time. Oh, geez. So, I just think that this ADA is a good illustration of the market right now. So, we might even call that sort of your commentary about crypto and altcoins and stuff. Is I love the names. I love coming in and investing my hard-earned money down at the bottom end of range. Does this take the entire 2023 to sort of bump along and make sort of like a wide saucer bottom, maybe a double bottom, maybe a triple bottom, maybe an Adam and an Eve, maybe even an Adam and a Steve? Stephen, have you heard us talk about Adam and Steve's with David O? You might like that concept. You are Steve.
Nah,
I
not the
don't know.
biggest
Would
fan.
you go by Steve or would you just are you Steven? Like my name's Steven, damn it.
Nah, Steve. All my
Steve,
friends
so
call me
you go by
Steve.
Steve as well. Some people call you Steve.
Yeah.
All right. So
Mhm.
anyway, I'll show you in the after party. we'll show an example of an Adam and Steve. Maybe that'll appeal to you. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that a Steve is like a inverted head and shoulders. Not exactly a pretty W. You know, we like if we're gonna get an Eve, then that means we want like a J-Lo booty bottom, right? Nice and well rounded and looking prime. Steve's got a little bit of extra in his package, if you can use your imagination. Anyway,
There's no Steve and J-Lo?
not Steve is definitely not a J-Lo. That's for sure. Actually, you know what? There was a really good one in I think it was actually even Bitcoin here. So this is kind of totally off topic and kind of wasting time because I'm only supposed to do this for half an hour, but what the hell, it's my show. Fuck off. Wow, that was a statement. Sorry. That was a little bit brutal. Sorry. PMA, right? So here would be an example of Steve. So you can see kind of chunky bottom, right? Where's I guess our head would be there now. So something like that. That's what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen here now on Bitcoin. Anyway, and then of course J-Lo booty bottom. Of course, we all know she's a very well-rounded young lady, right? So something like that. So this is Steve. This is Eve. Anyway. All right. So enough of the silliness. Sure hope you're enjoying. Oh, you know what? Here's a really good example of an Adam and Steve. So the US dollar index, and actually this is probably where we should have started our conversation today. Of course, we've got FUMC coming up here. Data, I think relatively speaking, recently is still kind of pointing towards the Americans still having justification to raise interest rates. We've talked, of course, lots about the housing market and how all the silliness all around that. And the econs today. In fact, what do I want to show you here? I'm jumping all over the place. I guess we can use this. What's sort of the broader market message? It looks like Asia. Where are we here? Japan, down 1/3%. I think that's Australia. AU 200, I think that's it. Shanghai, of course, that's China. So down, about, I guess, 1.5% there, almost 2%. Sensex, I think that's another Asian index, up just slightly, 0.4%, pretty small number. Europe, not doing too bad. The sentiment out of Europe, and of course, this probably also beggars higher short-term interest rates. Euro's up, private sector growth, 11-month high. Woohoo! Of course, this is in the context of the sickness / war / let's call this reality. Quit with all this, sort of sales pitch. How are we going to get the public to stomach the fact that Klaus and the Rothschilds and all the banksters are really doing this great reset? That's what's really going on in this world. And anybody who cons you into thinking that what you see happening economically in this world is about the sickness, what you think is happening in this world economically is about what Russia's doing in Eastern Europe, that's a load of horse shit. This is all about the fact that the Ben Bernanke's of the world completely destroyed the purchasing power of our currencies like 10, 15 years ago to bail out all of these US financial institutions that lent way too much money and then all mysteriously became too big to fail because they basically control the US government. So they got their massive bailout. They didn't want the public to see how awful the effects of this, quantitative easing. Oh, there's a fun name we just made up out of nowhere. We're going to be. So they just kept pushing the can down the road, push it down the road, push it down the road to the point where the public can't make the connection between the massive government bailout, blowing up the money supply. If you want to understand the connection between inflation and money supply, just do yourself a favor and Google Milton Friedman. He talked literally out his butt through the entire 1970s trying to convince people that inflation is directly tied to government printing of money. So the banksters, of course, knew that the public wasn't going to accept the fact that their standard of living was being destroyed because the government just went and mysteriously okayed the bailout of all these financial institutions. So they pushed it down the road like 10 years. And then all of a sudden, when it was convenient for the Americans to say, all right, I think the American public has bought this bullshit now, quantitative easing, let's now let the inflation happen. And all of a sudden, we're living in this screwed up world now. So, that's what I think the backdrop of this world is. Kind of a shame, but, it is what it is. Having said that, today's, I've said this repeatedly. I believe that the US economy has now gone through its shit show demographically, and it's set up actually generationally in a pretty good position. I also said vehemently, and I hear this repeatedly from other talking heads on society, that Mr. Trump, like him or hate him, he set the United States of America up to be an incredible economic powerhouse here going forward. Ironically enough, what you see happening in totalitarian dictatorships around the world is what's supposed to happen in totalitarian dictatorships when the economic times roll over. They often turn into jerks, and if you don't support what they think, you'll be thrown in a concentration camp. And if you accidentally happen to die while in the concentration camp, well, shit happens. So, this is, if anything, what we're living through is a really, really good testament to, what Winston Churchill said. This is a crappy society and crappy existence, this stupid human species. But democracy, it's crappy and it's full of faults, but it's the best thing that we got. And trust me, it's a hell of a lot better than having to take a big old dose of Winnie the Pooh up your ass every day. So anyway, more rants for you. There you go, DMAC. I'm just full of piss and vinegar today, eh? Anyway, have fun with this. I'm sure the Google algorithms are flashing, warning, warning, kill this guy, no. Anyway, all right, so back to the econs. I think the U.S. economy is not going to go into recession here, folks. I know a lot of people are expecting it. A lot of people want it, but I don't think you're going to get it. But the interesting thing is that this, again, Chappelle has been saying, I want to inflict pain into your lives. And even with just an absolutely ramp up, I mean, this is historically unprecedented. Even Volcker's raise of interest rates was not at the pace of what Mr. Powell has done here to the economies of the world over the past, 18 months, 24 months. And yet you still can't slow down this U.S. economic engine. That's how incredibly well positioned the United States of America is right now. That in the face of this massive raise of interest rates, business as usual. So U.S. factory activity unexpectedly rebounds. Wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen. Mr. Powell said that I'm supposed to inflict pain into the economy. What's going on here? And we have like German factory. I guess that's not the one I want, right? Eurozone private sector growth, it's 11 months high. Wait a minute, I thought we were trying to slow the economy down here. What's going on? So you can kind of see it in the stock market. The stock market, I mean, this is a really, really good example of, and if you've never heard this before, aside from Brian's crazy political rants and all that, this is a really, really good example. Write this down in your journals if you do have your journals out, which you should. What did I learn today? If you've never heard of this before, this is a really good example of where they say, what's good for Main Street is not often good for Wall Street. And vice versa, what's good for Wall Street often really isn't very good for Main Street. So what does that mean? Main Street is like, hey, we're doing lots of business. The economy's booming. Everything's rock and rolling. Unemployment rates at like historic lows, right? And look at that. I just saw a couple of people leaving the video. And yet, what's the stock market doing? The stock market's not doing anything. Like, why not? So I got a funny feeling the stock market's like, We didn't want to hear that because that means the Fed's probably going to raise rates again. So interesting correlation there. I'd also say too that we have a big options expiry. This is a monthly options expiry here today, which means that quite often, and then the question is, where the hell do I have the damn image? I had it here in front of me this morning, but I don't know what I've done with it. Oh well, I'll just have to add that. We have the gold market. I'm very interested in the gold market because actually we had a really cool level that the market traded into. So we'll take a look at this in a moment. Actually, you know what? I think we should probably do this in the after party because this is just going to take too long, and I've only got 2 minutes. Yeah, right. Like Brian's going to do half an hour. I think I did half an hour rant. All right, we're good. Hey, we could do the whole damn market in 4 or 5 minutes. All right, ready? Here we go. All right. So breadth is looking a little iffy. If we pop on over to the crypto, and if anything, we have one site member, and I got to hand it to him because it looks like his interpretation is perfect. He said that I'm not going to take a signal unless I see all 3 of these pointing in the same direction. And remember, we've had basically over the past month or two, we had Bitcoin spit out a sell signal, then spit out a buy signal, then spit out a sell signal. If anything, I got to be pretty happy at the fact that the algo is on the sidelines. And if you just are an algo trader, this is really what you want to see is algo gets out here and the price of the asset dumps. Good. So if anything, what I would prefer to see, I mean, it'll be interesting to see whether we can hold in here. I do know in a couple recent sort of public rants, I had said that if we do puke out here, which clearly we have, at this point we were thinking, all right, we're going to the moon, right? Next upside objective, 32,000. And this was painting like 35,000, which ultimately, if we look at the weekly price charts, I think is okay as a price objective down the road, because maybe we've gone a little too far, too fast here. So if we were going to puke out, which we clearly are doing, where are we going to puke out to? And I left this notation. Remember, this was a fairly popular person in crypto community who came out and tried to get everybody in the public to freak out. And he put out a tweet that was supposed to be private, but really was it? I don't know. And then, of course, about, CZ and criminal investigations, all that kind of stuff. So I had suggested that if this rally was going to crap out, that we needed to come back and revisit that level. And this is a really good example of there's a whole bunch of trap bears in this candle tail. And heaven forbid, if we should actually be able to get back down into this level, those bears are going to be like, oh, thank God. Just, I'm short, so go and buy the position back. And so as a result, you get a little bit of a firmness that comes in through this tail. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen here. I mean, obviously, we're not in the business of predicting the future, but you can see my little prognostication in the day trader room. We did have a couple people that were humming and hawing about going long Bitcoin here. And I was kind of like, Jesus. You can see how the moving averages now are actually going to represent major resistance here. And we do have this, actually, I call it a potential trend line. I don't think I would call this validated yet. But it's still a level that I think a lot of people in the marketplace are going to respect. I think if I'm not mistaken, Stamp is the only one that had this really weird candle here, this huge wick. But nonetheless, I think it makes sense that this trend line here, lining up with the 200 SMA off this 4-hour chart, lining up with the 13 SMA, you also see that basically it's the POC right here of this just small range. This is going to be a very, very important level here. And if this is still a bull, it's interesting how we drew this trend line off of all of these lows. excluding Mr. Cobain's fuck you candle. I think that this is a huge resistance level now. And I'd be very, very surprised if this market can actually get back above it. But if it can, and this was the comment that I made in our room this morning, was I have to see this market actually get back above here, get back above these moving averages, and then I can entertain things like a Wyckoff check of that bottom as actually a long entry window. Right now, I'm very, very leery. And unfortunately, if we go and look at the broader market, we'll talk about this in the after party, but it does look to me like this is an Adam and an Eve setup, but I think we're going to have to call it an Adam and a Steve setup here. Can you now see Steven? I don't know whether you can see Steve. He's got a bit of a package. No, you can't. No, you don't like that. Anyway, I still think that this is playing out. Now, I could be mistaken and we could just make lower lows, but I did see things like momentum divergences here trying to come in. Willie did get stupidly oversold. I mean, I'm not going to say that's a buy signal, but what I am going to say is I do like the idea that around this FOMC event, on the anticipation that maybe the Americans are going to raise rates again, you might actually see the US dollar catch a bid. And if we look around the world, you can see the gold market really took it on the chin this morning. Silver, very dangerous. All you new traders, be very, very careful trading silver. I always see new people to trading. They always come in and they said, I'm going to be the next silver bull. I'm going to take charge in the silver market. And this silver, like, keep in mind, silver historically is just, it's stunningly corrupt. How bad the futures trading is there. But anyway, it is what it is. So gold market looking a little heavy. And now, you can see stock market not really overly happy. And then, we've talked quite a bit about this. This is the SPY, so we won't get into that. That was all about the options conversation. I'll just leave this public broadcast at the stock market. Here's the 4-hour chart, kind of the same as, well, no, actually a little bit different than Bitcoin, but nonetheless, remember I showed you those public tweets, rising wedges are inherently bearish. And then look at what we've got staring us in the face. I mean, anybody who, has any weight in technical analysis, just, again, if you haven't ever seen this before, write this down. What are we supposed to think if we ever see the market smiling at us? It's not a good thing. This is Goldman sucks. This is Joey Diamond. There is Joey Diamond smiling at you. Now, do you think he's smiling at you because he's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a whole bunch of money. I'm a really generous person. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of information that's going to help you make better decisions in your life. I'm going to help you, pay off all your debts so you don't have to be in debt to any of the banksters or anything. Is that the Joey Diamond that you and I know? Come on. So I would make the argument, if Joey's smiling at you, be careful. And actually, just to finish off this rant for today, and like I said, the gold market, geez, the gold market's just getting its butt handed to it. This was an interesting level that we came into this morning, and I do think it did set up a half decent little day trade. The only problem here is I actually think that this isn't enough for me to get excited. You can see where moving average resistance is, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of rally into that level. We are at ATR. We are approaching that key 4-hour horizontal support and resistance level. And you see the 200 SMA coming up. So this is an interesting level for me. I'd like to see how we behave through this. And then, of course, if I'm actually going to take the trade, then I have to drill down to the lower time frame. And in this case, I like to trade off of the 3-minute, and I like to see my setups develop. And you can see this morning, it did come into that ATR level. It was an interesting level, but I don't have anything to work with here in my indicators. I suppose OBV, it did try to paint that, hey, the bulls are trying to come back, and there was that dead cat bounce rally. But you know me, I love my OBV divs. I love when Willie is stupidly oversold, and I didn't have anything. So as a result, you can see market did spike. There was a little bit of a dead cat bounce into VWAPs and stuff. So I don't fault anybody for taking that. It's just not my trading style. So I didn't do anything through this. I didn't have anything set up for me, but that was the only market this morning that could have set something up. Now, it is interesting to see, and of course, also too, this is Friday. So I don't really, at this point of the day, 9:30, it's about what, 12:30, 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon in New York. Do you really want to go and strap on long positions into that event? I'm a bit leery about that. So didn't do anything there. Oil kind of just floating out in no man's land. Again, I'm all about levels. So you can see 30 SMA, 30 SMA lining up with ATR, lining up with all these horizontal support and resistance levels, the NAT high right there. Okay, I could justify a trade there. And then on the downside, you can see we're actually into that. Remember that funny OPEC event there a month or two ago, where they said, I guess it wasn't a month, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago. They said that we are going to exert our cartel power and we are going to push price up. Well, that didn't go very well. And I actually heard the other day that I heard a couple things that made me laugh. Number one, Bangladesh now is going to take payment for nuclear reactor work done in the country by Russia, and they're going to pay them in Chinese yuan. Whoa, now there is a powerhouse deal. That's got trouble written all over it. And if anything, that's your BRICS nations response to the US dollar. I'm sure the Americans are like, fly, go have fun. Good luck. And then I heard another really odd sort of third world country kind of reference say that OPEC and the Saudis are now officially no longer going to sell oil to the Americans. Well, I don't know whether you got the message, whoever you were reporting this. It was on one of these, news rags. The Americans are actually net exporters of oil now, not net importers. So they don't really give a fuck about whether the Middle Eastern countries want to sell oil to the United States of America or not anymore. And of course, Mr. Biden, he would prefer that the United States just stop using oil altogether. For the record, our society is still about 85% based on fossil fuels. So 85%, it's not like you're going to go out and drive electric vehicles tomorrow. That's just not going to happen. And if anything, I'm hearing, the pendulum swinging back the other direction, through the whole sickness environment, and then through what happened with Russia and the oil and natural gas exports to Europe, coal production all of a sudden just absolutely exploded higher. So if anything, what's ended up happening now is because everybody hates oil and Greta and all that nonsense, we're actually environmentally going backwards now, because now, and of course, keep in mind, Winnie the Pooh in China, they just keep adding coal-fired plants. They, on an annual basis, China produces and adds more coal and CO2 emissions than my entire country. So it's like we've got like substitute drama teachers that are making our lives as Canadian citizens really shitty. Thank you very much. And yet, country like China, they don't care. And they are adding as much CO2 and global emissions and all that crap kind of conversation as our country does on like an annual basis. So it just goes to show the whole thing's just an absolute joke. So anyway, point of the matter here is interesting to see how the cartel's efforts to try and prop up energy prices are kind of landing flat on their faces. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we find out after the fact that actually the cartel, there's cheating all over the place, because they're notorious for cheating. It's ridiculous how they cheat. So anyway, point of the matter here is you can see where my day trading levels are. We're now into this gap, and really I got no business touching this until we actually fill this gap in completely, right? And we should even put on gap level here, right? Because that is a very important level. Notice, oh, what a surprise, it's right at the 200 SMA. So again, do I really want to go and strap on a position on a Friday right here in no man's land? No. So you put it all together. I've got an ugly picture in the stock market. I mean, that is about as ugly gets. I've even, and if I understand correctly, there's tech earnings coming up. I don't know whether you've all seen, but probably as a really good example of what to expect out of these darlings of late. Um, Tesla got absolutely destroyed yesterday on its earnings. And I got a funny feeling you're probably going to see a lot of that around Techland as these companies report. And next week, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's a whole bunch of heavyweights in the space. You can see, interestingly enough, ATR, trendline support, horizontal support and resistance, fog and bombs. If I'm going to want to buy the stock market, I want to be a buyer down in this window. So I had to sit there in the day trading room going, trend is down. If anything, counter trend rallies back into resistance or shorting windows. But you know me, I'm not allowed to chase. So if I do want to short, then actually I have to wait for reload zones, which are way up here. Candle body highs for trade location, horizontal support and resistance. And my hunch is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, ATR levels are going to start coming down where I could probably think about shorting a move up here. But right here, I can't do anything. I'm trapped. I can short up here. I can long down here. And bring it all full circle. This is basically the same conversation as crypto, where, this is the weekly price chart. And actually, I even put out, I do like this now that we have proxies in the market that stock market participants can now start sort of weighing in. Because keep in mind, everything that I talk to you guys about on these videos, and actually maybe I didn't even put this out. Yeah, I know I did. Yeah, there it is. It's not like I'm just making this crap up, right? The people that run these economies, this is where I learned this stuff. Remember, I was a broker forever. I was a prop trader forever. I used to literally be positioned between the S&P 500 pit and the Dow pit on the floor of the CME. I mean, you can't get any closer to the center of the capitalist world than that. And so the point I'm trying to make here is, you might look at this and go, oh, Beamish is just making all this stuff up and it's just sort of fun little squiggly line. I learned this stuff from the institutional players, from the 1%. That's who taught me this stuff. So, just the same as the stock market, you saw the levels where I can buy and where I can sell. Well, it's the same thing with Bitcoin. And this is the Bitcoin exchange traded fund. I can guarantee you the Rothschilds, they are trading this. Joey Diamond, he is trading this. Goldman Sachs, he's trading this, or they are trading this, or whatever. So just simple message to you. It's not really like Bitcoin is a new short or we're going to crash. If anything, what I would say is, have you not noticed? Bitcoin has had actually a really, really good run here. I mean, this is almost like a 50% return. It's the last time you saw people in the stock market talking about banging out 50% returns every day. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So would you fault anybody? We always talk to people about the fact that the market at any given point in time should rally back to 38.2s. And I know it's kind of hard to see on this screen, but that is 38.2 of this range right here. And, this is affectionately a guy on the site, Colin, who's off, famous in internet land for his own rights. But anyway, he likes to call this Colin's dump. In this case, it's a bear market, the dump chaser zone. So seeing a bounce into this area makes perfect sense. And if you did have the balls to step in and buy off of these lows, which I'm not going to say is easy, but the institutional players, the people that put the floor in the market, they know bloody well that this is the floor. And so are they going to be taking a bit of profits on this move? Probably. But this is neither a place where I can buy nor sell. I can buy in green boxes, 200 SMA, trendline support, fog and bombs off at the top. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. I can sell in reload zones off the top, fog and bombs up top, mountain man levels, gap fills. So I can be a seller in this red box up here. I could be a buyer in this green box right here. And right now, I think the only thing that they're doing right now is they are just going to mess with all of your brains, and they are going to get you into panic selling. They're going to get you into FOMO buying. And yet I might argue that we're just sitting in no man's land right now. And really the best thing for you to do, you all know what's supposed to happen around my birthday, right? Can you guys give me some validation on that? I've been barking at, actually, it's not me. And for the record, it turns out there's this other guy that happens to have a birthday on the very same day as me. And I've never run into my whole life. I've never run into anybody actually had the birthday on my very same day. But it turns out it's his fault.
I'm gonna have to find out how to change my birthday.
I love you, man. And it's great. I mean, I started off the broadcast with, this is just the most beautiful community possible. I'm sorry I had to go on about 10-15 minutes extra there, but I had to get it all out of my system. I think you now can understand, and I think this image now, hopefully everybody can understand. We're in no man's land right now. It's too late to buy. And if anything, you have to be patient and disciplined. And just like I said on Wednesday, and it doesn't matter whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's the stock market or whether it's something like this is a little shit coin that people are interested in, is ADA. I can't be a buyer here. I do want to take 2023 and load up. I want to be a long crypto, but I can't buy here. I have to buy down here, which means for the next month or two, just have to be patient and disciplined and just wait. And I think that's basically my message for you guys all. So I'll wind up this public broadcast with, I was actually very touched. I think it was on, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, might have been Wednesday morning. I wasn't really in a very good frame of mind. Some people were like, Brian, you should probably go get your blood levels checked. Oh, look at this damn green screen. Did you see that, Chris? I think you probably got it flying on YouTube though, so nothing really messed up. Anyway, it was off. Anyway, and I was really touched by all of you. Your sentiment was, Brian, you know, we care about you. Try and take care of yourself. You know, your health is important. Get some sleep, get some rest, that kind of stuff. So thank you very much for the positive words of thought. I really hope I'm making a positive difference in all of your guys' life. Thank you so much for everybody at the TRI community, the great people that are surrounding me. You are good people. Thank you. Thank you, Jojo, for bringing these people into my life. And with that said, let's head on over to the after party and let's have a really fun conversation with, like I said, another one of my favoriteest people in this world, Stephen. And let's talk a little harmonics. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. We'll see everybody Sunday for the broiler chicken show, and slow and steady wins a race, right? Remember what your number one job is. Don't go and blow yourself up like a stupid noob. I want to make sure that all of you are here. And if you need help, that's the whole reason why we put this school program together. It's bulletproof. It is the best education program you could possibly get on the internet. It's not going to tell you, you know, go buy this squiggly line and you'll make money all the time, guaranteed. It's going to teach you how to build a small business of trading that you can actually expect to be successful at. So that's the whole point of the education program. So anyway, I'm sure we'll have lots of shows about that coming up because we do have a new school term starting. Join the raffle. I mean, hell, we give away free seats to the school program. So anyway, okay, have yourselves a great day. Hugs and kisses. Mwah! And now off to the after party land. Bye for now.